So I'm done. This talk is over. The course is nearly over. And I've told you what I have to say about the revolution. But I'd like to add something about historians who've written about this for the past century or so. When my wife read over this last talk about the articles, she pointed out that it came off as a bit arrogant. You know, how come all these historians and novelists and documentarians and movie makers are so wrong, whereas you, Guy Chet, got it so right? My wife often makes this observation about how I always think I'm right, but in this case she does have a point. So I want to clarify that many, many historians who are more accomplished, more decorated, and more highly regarded than I disagree with me about what I've said here and what I wrote in my book. What separates me from them isn't that I'm smart and they're dumb or that I know more than they do. I don't. What separates me from them is that they look back at the revolution to try to identify the hidden forces at play back in the 18th century. The forces that they back then were not aware of, but were sparking them into action nevertheless. Whereas I try to look at the American Revolution through their eyes and as they themselves understood what they were doing. I think that this different approach leads some historians to see this revolution as a story of change, whereas I see this as a story of status quo. Unlike us modern folks, 18th century people saw change negatively, suspiciously. And we can see this difference between us and them in the meaning of the word revolution today versus back then. By revolution, modern people mean a fundamental change that moves us from an old system to a new and different system in political institutions or political values or social mores or technology. So think of the agricultural revolution or industrial revolution or sexual revolution or the market revolution. If I drew a diagram of a revolution, it would look like a straight arrow from A to B. In the 17th and 18th centuries, revolution meant a 360-degree revolution, as is implied by the verb revolve, a movement by which one arrives once again at the beginning point. So when contemporaries back then refer to the Glorious Revolution of 1688 and the American Revolution as revolutions, they understood these events as restoring an ancient status quo, as turning the clock backward and returning to the beginning. So a reset. Revolutions, therefore, were events that re-established an old and venerated order, rather than rejecting established custom and replacing it with something new, original, and untried. Indeed, the term revolution conferred legitimacy on armed revolt against the government in both 1688 and 1775, by calling attention to the fact that these movements were not radical, but traditionalist and anchored in law and custom. So, to my way of thinking, when we try to understand these events and these people, we benefit more from channeling their understanding of their actions and beliefs, rather than identifying motivating forces that were hidden from them, but that we can see or imagine from our vantage point. Thank you for participating in this class. I enjoyed reading your work and your emails. I hope you enjoyed the class as well, and good luck on the exam, and enjoy the break.